everyone. Welcome back to the NSSR. This is your host, MÍtalks, once again reminding you to run your own race to medicine one day at a time. This is my third live event, and I'm really excited because it's always nice to have a forum where people can actually have a discussion when we get to interview physicians, especially in 2020 and 2021, when interaction with physicians is very, very limited. So with that, we're going to introduce Dr. Ighodaro, who's here with us today. She is a neurologist, a second-year resident, a neuroscientist, has a Ph.D. as well, and a health advocate at the Mayo Clinic with research interests on understanding the role of racism in neurological disorders. She was the first African-American female to graduate from the combined MD Ph.D. program at the University of Kentucky College of Medicine, where she published numerous articles on dementia, cerebrovascular disease, and health inequities within the Black community. Inspired by Dr. Susan Moore's Sheroism, she has created a recurring virtual expert panel discussion on racial inequities in medicine. You can view this on her YouTube channel, which I will definitely highlight up here. And you can also view her social media content as well, which I will also highlight up here. Without further ado, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love your channel. I try and listen to as many of the presentations that you give, and I'm just so impressed that amongst being an extremely busy medical student that you're taking time to connect with us to help, the community of pre-med and medical students.
Thank you for kind of gracing us with your presence, if you will.
Sure.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people want to get to know you. And so with that, I'm just going to ask, you to tell us a little bit about your journey to where you've come.
Yeah, so I'm from the South, if you guys can't hear the little accent in my voice. I'm from Kentucky, born and raised, did my high school in Louisville, Kentucky. Then I went to University of Kentucky where I did my undergrad degree in biology, minors in chemistry and French. And then because University of Kentucky recruited me so well, I stayed and entered my MD PhD program at the University of Kentucky. And that's where I got my PhD in neuroanatomy. And that's where I also started my activism work. And it kind of took off from there. And then I applied to Mayo, I matched, and I'm here.
Thank you so much. And obviously, you hear all that, and you're like, oh my God, this is like amazing boss within our midst. And obviously that is very true. But I bet that journey wasn't as smooth as it may seem with that 10,000 foot view. And so I want to ask you, what were some of the hurdles or the obstacles that made it a not so smooth road?
Ooh, on Black women in various classrooms, hospital settings, rooms. And so that was very difficult because of that. It just added pressures of being the only one, feeling like, I have to create community, support my other Black colleagues, and then lead a movement to support that. So I did lead a movement on my campus called #UK Call to Action, because there were a lot of issues that professional students were facing of color. And so I was like, well, we need to speak up, we need to speak out. So we did, but it was difficult as an understatement. It's very exhausting. But I just had a community of supporters, mentors who saw me not just for me as a med student or as a graduate student, but me as a Black woman and what that means. So they were able to help nourish all of my social identities. And that's really, really what helped me get through is my support system.
How do you now carry that into your space as a resident?
Oh, I reach out, especially to students of color. I am a mentor to a lot of students, especially on social media. That's one of the reasons why I decided to start my Twitter account, to start an Instagram. It's because I wanted to normalize medicine. And I wanted the little girl in me to see me so that, that little girl can see Black women, and they're doing this phenomenal work. They're wearing the white coats, they're in the lab, and that this is also something that they could accomplish and obtain. So when I was younger, I didn't see a lot of role models like that. So that's why I put myself out there. And I've just been very taken aback at a lot of the emails, the messages, the posts that I've received from young females of color, and it just rejuvenates me and excites me. And I'm glad to see that. I've had many people tell me, I didn't know that you could be a neuroscientist as a Black woman. I've just been taken aback at all the, positive feedback and comments and support, because that's one of the things that I really treasure, is giving back to the community. I'll mentor anyone that sends me a message. I'm here to help out, but I target the little girl that I was 10, 20 years ago, because that little girl, I'm going to nurture her into being the next physician, the next scientist, the next health advocate.
With that, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned something about being a neuroscientist as a Black woman, and I wanted to ask you about that aspect of your career as well, because you're not only a neurologist or training to be a neurologist, you are a neuroscientist. So if you don't know, Dr. Ighodaro has an MD and a Ph.D. And so can you discuss a little bit about why you decided to go that route and how it influences your career now?
Definitely. I always gravitated towards science, especially at a young age. And even in high school, when I took all my science courses, I would stay back even after class was over, because I had a notebook of just questions that weren't necessarily on the exam, but just questions that I would think about, because my mind was always spinning about, just different topics of science. And so my teachers really nurtured that passion and inquisitiveness in me, so that when I went to college, I had a professor of color. He was my chemistry professor, and he said, "You ask a lot of great questions. Have you ever thought about graduate school?" I'm like, "I don't know what graduate school is." So he took me under his wing, and he exposed me to chemistry experiments. And then with that, he was like, "Okay, maybe you should reach out and to do more biomedical research." So I reached out, and I was able to do biomedical research there. So then my junior year, when it came time to applying for the MD Ph.D. program, I couldn't choose. I couldn't choose between medicine, because I love taking care of people and community service. I couldn't choose between graduate school. So I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna just do both." So then I applied, for the MD Ph.D. program, got accepted into several places. I chose to go to University of Kentucky. And so that's how I did that training. So the MD PhD, for the most part, in most places, it's 8 years. And how it's structured at Kentucky is the first 2 years are medical school. Then you leave your class and you go on to graduate school. And graduate school can be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And one thing that I really wanted to do is to use my research and my clinical skills to improve health inequities in the Black community, especially in neurology. Because one of my passions since graduate school was, being aware and mindful of the issues that face the Black community, and what can I do in my lane to be able to help improve that experience. So I've been finding ways to do that in many panel discussions, and I put this online to educate the public that there are inequities that happen in medicine that are happening to the Black community, that is not due to underlying genetics, that it's due to the system of medicine. So that's one area that I'm really, really excited and interested in. I think because of my research background, I'm able to be critical of medicine and then also be able to provide solutions. I hope it gives you some insight into the training,
Yes,
how I'm combining neuroscience and neurology, and also my activism.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that I was going to merge all these interests in the beginning. It's just something that I love medicine, so I'm going to go get my MD. I love research, so I'm going to go get my PhD degree. And then I kept talking to my mentors and also seeing other MD, PhD individuals, those who were successful or those who, chose one route or the other. And I knew I didn't want to have to pick between only being, an MD or only doing research. I wanted to do both. So I was very cognizant, and I kept reflecting throughout my entire training about how can I merge all of these three passions, because, I'm not only an neurologist, I'm not only a neuroscientist, I'm not only a health advocate. So how can I leverage and merge everything into one that makes sense, so that I could, be able to use all my skill sets to better the community. And so it took me a lot of introspection. It took me a lot of talking to other people and talking to other mentors. And it also took me a lot of audacity. There's not many people that are doing this kind of work and doing it the way that I'm doing. But, I think I have the audacity to say, you know what, this is what needs to be done. So I'm gonna just make it happen. And, there are a lot of neuroscientists who do a lot of bench work, lab work, pipetting. And I thought that as a PhD that I also had to do that kind of work. Like, I love it, I appreciate it, but it didn't mesh well with my health advocacy work. So, you can basically create the beauty with our skills and our degrees is that you can do what you want to do in your skill set because it's needed. So you just have to make it work. So I think I say that to say I didn't have all this figured out day one.
I know that this pandemic has done a number to people with shadowing, with research, with everything. So when we have forums like this, please, like when I say reach out to these people, y'all reach out because this is how you get opportunities. Yeah. Because I always tell people there are so many things that I know because of where I'm at that right. You just don't have access to information. So when you DM people, when you talk to them and you say, hey, I saw you on YouTube or I was in this live session, I have this and this and this question, you never know where that's going to lead you. You don't know what information that is going to open up. So please, 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 please reach out, connect with people, use this channel to your advantage. Everybody that you've seen on my channel has volunteered themselves openly to be able to connect with you. So if you go back and watch my videos and you say, hey, this is really interesting, please connect with these people because it will definitely open doors for you. I have another question for you, Dr. Ighodaro. Somebody was asking about your career choice and specifically neurology. So for you, what were the pros and cons of neurology and what would you talk to someone who's like curious about the field?
I'll start with the cons first. I think when I was a medical student, there was a lot of talk about, neurology, she gets just diagnosed, but there's no cures for anything. And when I was hearing that, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be really sad. I don't want to only diagnose, I want to be able to treat people. So then I reached out to a bunch of neurologists who said that is completely false. Only an ignorant person would say that. So with the pros of oh my goodness, always have a job. You can basically design, create, negotiate what it is that you want to do because there's such a high demand for neurologists. There's just not enough of us to go around. Stroke is becoming something that is becoming more prevalent, and there's just not enough stroke neurologists to go around. So we're having to use telemedicine now, and telemedicine, even before COVID, we were using telemedicine because we were trying to solve or figure out a creative way for people to get neurology care. So, when telemedicine picks up, you can be a neurologist. My goal is, okay, I want to be able to work from Hawaii on my vacation, online telemedicine, speak to a neurologist, online, because you don't have to be in the hospital 24/7 to practice neurology, unlike some other fields. The work, I think the lifestyle is very balanced. Unlike some other fields, I don't work shift work. For clinic, I can have a mixture of both clinic and inpatient because I love clinic and I also love the inpatient setting. So I can merge, those two. For example, in stroke, I could take stroke call, but then I can also follow my stroke patients in clinic when they come see me. So you get the best of both worlds there. And the beautiful thing about neurology is the neuro exam. I think some other specialties, the physical exam is becoming obsolete. I can diagnose and I can localize based on my exam. I don't need imaging. Like I can tell you, okay, there's something dangerously wrong just based on my hands. Like I could do that without having to open you up or anything, just using my hands. So I had this patient that came in, otherwise normal. She had leg weakness bilaterally, and this was new onset, right? And she was falling, she was tripping, she was having, just difficulties walking. This came on all of a sudden. So I did my thorough neuro exam, and I said, you're tripping, you're falling, and you have some severe weakness in your legs, but your upper extremities are great. They're normal. I'm like, that's concerning for a spine. Talk to, the senior who's on the ED, said, hey, this patient's coming your way, this is why. And patient goes into the ED, they scan that person's back, and the person had a lesion in their spine, and they got admitted, and they got biopsy, they got taken care of. But I did that as a brand new neurology resident. And so how many doctors can say by using their hands alone that they can 99% localize the lesion, tell the radiologist, this is where I want you to image, and boom, have your diagnosis, and then, care gets expedited. So that's why I love neurology. There's many pros, but that's just some of the pros that comes to my mind. Some of the cons, it's extremely difficult. It's learning neuroanatomy. I think for many students, neuroscience, including myself, is an extremely hard subject, and it's hard to learn. And so you have to, I think that's I guess a con is that, you have to learn the basics of, the nervous system, the anatomy, they have to localize. So those things can be very difficult for individuals. And it's difficult for me too, but I just, I love the mind. I get to localize and diagnose with my hands. I get great work-life balance. I can basically name my salary, especially if I go work in a rural or underserved community. And I just, get to do so much.
As you see, I think regardless of what specialty you choose, the important thing is that you are enthusiastic and passionate about it. And I hope that all of you, in talking to physicians, especially now that you can't necessarily shadow, can figure out, this is what they like. This is what they are passionate and enthusiastic about, and start to think, maybe this is something that I could do, and open your mind up to that possibility. One thing that I wanted to ask as well is, for the people that are kind of in the pre-med space who are on this journey to medical school, what would be your biggest advice for them?
You can do it. Don't let no one tell you you can't. Don't let no one tell you that you cannot. And if they tell you, find some new mentors. Delete those people, get rid of them. You don't need them. Surround yourself with supporters, with people who will be your cheerleader when you are in doubt, or when you're studying for the MCAT. You're like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. I'm not supposed to be this. No, get your cheerleaders. My parents, my mama, she was always my biggest, she called me doctor before I got done with high school. You need that kind of support. People who can see your greatness before you can see it for yourself. And reach out, don't be shy, be professional, and say, email them, message them, email them, whatever you need to do. Reach out, because we are here to help you, because we need you. We need your skill set. We need your brilliance. We need your mind. We need your experience. We need you. And I'm rooting for you all.
Yes, thank you so much. I made a video a couple months ago about what mentors are and what mentors aren't. And I really encourage you to watch that video, because a lot of people have some enemies of progress as mentors in their life, okay? And you need to know who to delete and who not to delete, as well as how to contact them. So I kind of walked through my kind of formula for contacting people who I'm contacting for the first time that I would potentially want to be mentors. So definitely check out that video, because I feel like it'll help you overcome whatever nerves, because I get it. You feel like, oh, this is a high and mighty physician or med student, I must not bother them. No, I always tell people, you are not bothering anyone by advocating for yourself. That is the least you can do to further your own career. And most of these people are really happy to talk about themselves anyway, so you might as well take advantage of that. Just saying. So with that, I wanted to ask you if there's any last words that you would like to say.
I just applaud you for doing this work, and your spirit and your maturity is far beyond your age. And I just, respect you, and thank you so much for putting this resource out there to bring up the next generation of providers.
I'm always grateful, because my thing is, you should never have to pay for stuff like this. Life is just too expensive to have to pay for this. And also, there's so many people that from a pure heart sincerely just want people to be encouraged. And so if I can have a place where all those people can come together, the people that encourage, the people that need encouragement, why not? And so I'm grateful to have the time and space to be able to do this, because I know that, I hope that too, a lot of people will benefit and a lot of people will be touched by it. I feel like this is one of the most productive things that I've done in medical school. And I'm very happy that God gave me the idea and the time to invest in it, because I feel like people need encouragement and we don't hear it often enough. A lot of times we're like, yes, we hear go, 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 but we don't hear you're doing great. And let me see how I can help you along this path. And so that's what I hope to do. And that's what everybody who comes on this channel hopes to do as well. So again, connect with them, please. But thank you all, seriously. I value your time. I value you guys tuning in, asking questions, even if you were just watching and listening. I hope you learned something. And thank you, Dr. Ighodaro, for coming and spending your time with me on this Saturday morning. I know you got a lot of things to do, so thank you for doing this. And thank you all for watching. And for people that will watch this later, again, thank you for watching. Take this and use it as a template for what you're going to do in the future. And don't be afraid to reach out to anybody. With that, I want to thank you guys once more and close this session. See you guys in the next video. Bye.